Do you have 5 minutes? Really, just 5 minutes. Every morning when I get up, to the best of my ability, I try to go out and go for a walk. It might be a mile, it might be a mile and a half, 2 miles, whatever. Just get out a little bit and walk, just to get some exercise and from fresh air. It is always lovely to watch the sun coming up and the beauty to it. But you know, there's something interesting. A couple of days ago, a guy drove by with a brand new Range Rover. And this wasn't just any Range Rover. This is one of those that had the snorkel on it that's capable of going through the water, so if the water gets up over the engine, it still can get the air that it needs to breathe. And oh my, did that car look nice. I must admit, for just a moment, I was feeling like I really wouldn't mind having a Range Rover. I wonder what God would have to say about that. Hear these words from Exodus 20:17, the translation being the Message. No lusting after your neighbor's house, or wife, or servant, or maid, or ox, or donkey. Don't set your heart on anything that is your neighbor's. The translation from the Message is lovely because in it Eugene Peterson translates the word covet as lust, to want something that isn't yours. And in this 10th commandment, it reminds us that we are not to want or lust after anything that our neighbor has. You know, I look at that Range Rover, I think, oh, wow, would that be fun? And it brings back lots of memories from a childhood when we had one of my relatives who had a Range Rover, and he used to ford creeks with it, and we'd go out fishing together, and oh, it was so much fun. And four-wheel drive, it went in the snow like no tomorrow. And it even outdid the Jeeps that everybody else had. Had a winch on the front. It does bring back lots of memories. But is it really worthwhile? And as I'm looking at that person who bought that Range Rover, I was thinking about how lucky they must be and maybe how wealthy and how fortunate they are that they could afford that kind of car. But then it reminded me of someone that some of you may have heard of. Her name was Irma Bombeck. And Irma Bombeck, years ago, in one of her articles wrote, just remember, the grass always grows greener over the septic tank. That often we look at the neighbor's grass and we think how much better their yard is, when the reality is the grass grows greener over the septic tank. When we lust for something, when we want something that somebody else has, unfortunately, it makes us feel down. That we're somehow unworthy, we can't afford it. Or we do something else which is even more foolish, is we try to buy it. And maybe we spend money where we shouldn't. Or perhaps what we have is perfectly fine. At the very core, the message from God is, be grateful for the gifts that you have been given. Whatever they may be, however humble they may be grateful for the gifts that you and I have been given by God. After all, everything we have is a gift from God. That doesn't mean there aren't times where we need to buy a new car. There aren't times where we need to buy a new house or replace the things that have worn out and can no longer be repaired. But at the core, it teaches us a satisfaction with life. And if we can just learn to be satisfied with the things God has given us, oh my, how much happier our lives can be. So, if you see a Range Rover this week, don't lust after it. But my guess is there's probably something else that you would like to have. Instead, look at the gifts that have been given to you by God, whatever they may be, however humble they may be, and be grateful for what God has given you. Have a lovely week. God bless you.